Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. And just to start, this is just general share advice and not personal advice. Welcome, Wolfie, and I just want to talk. Again, we're going to talk about the money stocks because there's only sort of really we just need to talk where we can make money in the short term if we're trading. And again, you can see the money stocks, your S32s, your BHPs, your
Oh,
STOs.
great.
Yeah, they're all green and going through the roof. The coal stocks, everything we're talking about. Um, but one thing I want to talk about a little bit more than what we talked about, and we're going to put on two trades today, is in the gold space, Wolf. So if I can find this, because something I prepared a little bit earlier.
Mhm.
Um, gold.
Let me just say we're going to be adding a new stock to the war stocks, and that's Equity Story.
Uh,
EQS is going to be the code.
uh,
Honestly, this is where you get your money's worth. The war, all the problems we've got at the moment, the volatility, Dave, and Einstein's are coming through every bloody week, right? And we are picking those stories for the right time most of the time. It's just extraordinary, Dave. I have to pat you on the back. I have to pat myself on the back, but
uh,
when you want your money's worth, this is the place to come.
yeah, listen, certainly at the moment, Wolf, and
Uh,
I've been doing a little bit of work on the futures, mate. Looking,
oh yeah.
yeah, looking where we're going. So that's all going to come out the next week.
Oh,
But anyway, Wolf, there's your breakout on gold.
mm-hmm.
Right now, I can't see. I mean, 2 days, right? I'm not giving the Biden administration a hard time. Don't get angry at me, right? But 2 days before Putin came in, Kamala Harris was in Europe at the Munich conference and really suggested that Ukraine join NATO. 2 days later, obviously Putin goes into Ukraine, but guess what? It's all right because Kamala Harris they're sending her back to really help fix the situation. So I feel safe really with Kamala. I mean, I've seen some of her recent interviews. Um, I don't think personally myself. I wouldn't even let her teach my kid at kindergarten. How she's in that position of vice president of the United States, the world's gone crazy. So, when you look at basically the stance and who America have got trying to solve the situation in Ukraine, I don't see Wolf. I don't see us getting out of it anytime soon, unfortunately, right? So you look at gold, you look at these war stocks. I think it's stronger for longer.
I agree. I think it's going to be a more protracted than anyone had expected. And again, that's usually what happens on the markets. People never things happen that people don't expect, and here we go again, right? It's probably going to be a war that maybe will last months, maybe even longer. So let's see what happens. It's just one of those periods that again we just have to navigate through, and lo and behold, we follow the charts, and the charts tell us a pretty good story.
Right. So let's have a look, Wolf, and let's. I want to sort of grab two good gold stories, and the first one is in Newcrest, and I think if we can buy this under $27,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely superb. The reason I like this is that they've really pulled down a lot of their costs you were saying recently. So the company's, I think it's had issues in the past, Wolf, and hopefully those sort of issues are starting to turn for it. I like the chart. You could see this easy trading back up at $30, if not high, even $35 if gold has another run. Um, and the other one, you've got Northern Star Evolution. I think I really like the look actually of Evolution. There's your little breakout. Come on, you'd be surprised if this can't at least retest that $5. And if you look in the past, Wolf, when it's had its little breakouts, you'd expect it to have a run. And again, evolution. And I think really you could choose any gold stock. And the one we're actually looking at for ALK as the hot stock on the weekend. We didn't go for this because we're actually already trading it at the moment. It was put on as a trade last week. But again, you can see this has got a double bonus. It's got the upside potential of Boda, but also it's got gold. So again, that's a very nice, interesting little story. And again, on Einstein's, I have to give a tick to IPL. I mean, again, this is ammonium nitrate, which Russia produce a lot. Uh, I think it looks very good. Now, if unfortunately, it's had that big jump up to 350. Now, I'd like to see us get over 350, But I think if we can break over 350 by the end of the week, Wolf, no reason why this can't have a run up to that $4. So, and then, hats off to look at Woodside, bang, up again, another 7%.
There you go. There you go.
Wolf, let's bring over these commodity plays so everyone can have a look. I mean, this is what we got here. I mean, we got crude up 26% last week, Brent up what 25%. I mean,
it's so green, Dave. It's hurting my eyes. That's how green it is.
Well, look at coal up 75% last week.
Yes.
Just unbelievable. So these are the money stocks. These are the stocks that are trending. Gold, like we said, it's had that little breakout. It's started going with it. I'm really liking look at gold. Even iron ore, Wolf, back above 150. So, those iron ore stocks. And there we've got wheat up 34%. So the GNCs. And we're going to talk about another story in that sector. You're going to talk about one in a second. So I'm going to let you do that. And you've got oats and corn. Everything is up through the roof. So commodities, hello, baby. Here we come. And you can see they're absolutely trending beautifully. And, I think a lot of these, I mean, we just need to concentrate really on just trending these sort of stories. Now, Wolf, there's one of these stocks you wanted particularly to have a little mention about.
I'm going to put a spotlight on our story. That's obviously part of the war stocks, but I think it's making a compelling case to get in.
Go on, far away.
Elders. So, you look at what's happening around the globe. So we know there's commodity spurts in wheat and other things, but just going back to Australia, these guys are premier agri stock really in Australia. They're not expensive, trading on about 12 times earnings on a P basis. Then they've got about a 4% yield. Now, if I go back, they're going to actually go report in May, Dave. So you've got a couple of months, right? And I think they should report well. They should report well because if you look at the November full year results from 2021, they were firing on all cylinders and they were saying, look, outlook is good as long as, agri sector is strong. And they were giving the case for a lot of these commodities, such as beef prices, cattle prices, and all these things stick around at a certain level. And in fact, when you look at it now, move 4 months forward, they are higher than they were talking about it back then, especially wheat and so on. I know we had floods, which is I suppose a short-term risk, but then again, it does bring opportunities for things like Elders, where there'll be demand now to maybe restock some things after the floods and so on. So for me, this is a compelling, I suppose, a trend we can put on and hold it for the next 6 to 12 months. Because again, I think in Australia, the actual agri space is enjoying a pretty good run at the moment. So I'm surprised the actual share price hasn't done too well. It's been actually so, but I think it's time. I think it's time for it to see it go higher. The closer we get to the actual results, Dave, in May, I suspect this is going to try to test at $13 and go beyond.
Brilliant, Wolf. So we're going to add that on as a trend today. And, I think, try and buy it under that sort of 12.15 and just have a look here. We've got a decent stop loss, maybe just under 11.66, and initially we'll target 13, and if it does that, we'll lift that stop. It could definitely go a little bit higher. Wolf, just thank you very much for that, Wolf, and thanks obviously for researching Elders. We've actually traded that a few times with really not much success, Wolf. It hasn't. No. It's been a funny one.
It's time it owes us money, Dave.
Yeah, it's funny. It hasn't ever really. It does. So eventually we should get it right. What do they say?
If you try again, it's going to come off. No, but really, I mean, when you look at the November commentary for the forward, they're still talking the growth of about 10%. And like I said, they were fairly conservative in their talk, the 10% growth. So I expect that to be hit in the next half, which is in May. So presumably this is what the market's looking for. They're looking for good story, cheap story, defensive story in a pretty hot space. Hello.
Wolf, just having a quick look at obviously Einstein's, and you'll be very happy to know your little BOE had a buy signal. It's had a good move up today, obviously 7%. But Einstein's, again, you can see, look, even SMR up 42%, KR, NHC, YAL, which we've had on Einstein's for a few weeks now, just go. You can see energy stocks, material stocks are doing absolutely brilliantly, and everywhere else there's hardly anything trending, right? It's hardly anything there, Wolf. So It's interesting, isn't it? Just like the price action, it's very, very simply directing us to these stories that hopefully will do
Very
reasonably
narrow,
well.
isn't it? The price action is very narrow. Really, like you said, only probably just three spaces. You've got, like you said, energy. You've got the commodity, like your coppers and so on, and you've got agri space that's going quite well.
Right, Mr. Wolf, AGL
Mhm.
takeover not happening, is struggling. If people, I think, got into that hoping it would have a bounce high on takeover news, your suggestion you'd be getting out, correct?
Dave, I've got a suspicion here that big green candle we see about 8 weeks ago, insiders were buying because there was going to be a takeover offer. It is just looks too suspicious for me. Why would you jump so hard? And then, you know, what, 5 weeks, 6 weeks later, there he comes. So I'd be investigating that.
Well,
That
also,
makes no sense.
they're all going to be sellers fairly quickly, aren't they? All
Yeah,
fairly.
this is the other problem,
So,
right?
yeah.
So we had the jump. Now it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think from what I've been reading on AFR, it says that's as far as they're going to go with the bids, and they're disappointed that AGL didn't engage them. So potentially, yeah, a bit of weakness maybe coming through.
Wolf, KPG, again, doesn't look too bad. They had another announcement today. I mean, this stock has trended absolutely beautifully. It's a nice little dividend payer. It pays every quarter.
Actually, every month, Dave.
Every month, yeah, every month. That's it.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unless they changed it recently, but I remember, you know, we're looking at about 6 months ago, and we're paying a dividend every month. It's like, it's better than a bank.
What a nice story. People got into this on that little breakout down here.
Yeah, that's right, because it's held it ever since, hasn't it? Really, only had one slight wobble, but other than that, it's been holding on very well. And today's announcement, another investment, I think 50.01% into a regional player. So the strategy of them acquiring new businesses keeps on rolling on.
Wolf, now little CTM. It's not little, very strong announcement. Can you tell us what you thought about that one?
Yeah, I really like that announcement. I think it's going to be almost for me, probably don't worry about the actual results, right? Or, you know, the essay results that comes through. This is the announcement to me that's potentially could drive this even higher. And that is the announcement with the Brazilian government that they've given a priority status. Now, we've seen that we've followed stocks in Brazil that it takes so long to get anywhere to actually start mining, right? It's not an easy jurisdiction. So to get a preferred status from the Brazilian government, I think it speaks volumes to how good the project is and how important it is to Brazil. So potentially you might see this fast tracked.
All right, Wolf. I just want to talk about an article in the AFR, if it's okay with you, just to finish up.
No, Dave, no, I know it's not good with me. Sorry.
So the house prices are starting to have some decent falls now on the inner suburbs. Often it sort of tends to lead the market. What's going on there? The interest rates, although they haven't gone up, but obviously there's high fixed interest rates at the moment, so those rates are starting to affect the market. If we do get a decline in generally speaking across the board on house prices over this year, what are the stocks that we should be careful to be invested in, Wolf, and maybe, you know, be looking to get out of? Or
look, it's a very good question, and you have to ask yourself, you know, what's brought this upon. And like you said, I think there's two things here. First of all, the market in Sydney and Melbourne probably was too crazy anyway, right? There was a lot of froth in there, and a lot of riffraff were buying houses way too high in Sydney. So the top had to come off, and there has to be a cooling down. So that, I think that's normal, Dave. For me, that pullback is actually very, very healthy, because there was a sustainable those price rises. Anyway, now what else has brought that upon? Of course, is we've got that, like you said, we've got that rising interest rate environment coming up, which means that maybe some of these properties that are priced up to your eyeballs could, you know, potentially might see a little bit lower pricing in the future. So where would I be looking for? I suppose when you look at our realestate.com.au, I don't think they'll be too affected. I mean, they've navigated, remember, they've been around for 25 years, Dave. They've navigated through many of those downturns, right? Well, there hasn't been too many downturns when you look at the housing market, but they have seen some falls back in the day.
Well, well, actually, Wolf, look, I mean, since they broke trend,
yeah,
well,
because it's just expensive, right? So that's something to also take into mind. But would you get beginning to real estate.com? Probably not, right? That's the thing. If you look at the housing market, it's pulling back. I would not be jumping into these sort of things. Is there anything that beneficiaries would be looking at? I don't think so. I would just be sticking away from the real estate space at the moment, unless we've got little prop tech. This is probably the only one that I'm thinking it still should be okay, because we spoke to them. He said, look, it doesn't matter if it's downturn or upturn, they still have to use our software. And I know that the price is just volatile, goes up and down like a yo-yo. But that's the only one we really like in this space. But it's still, like the other ones, it's not looking too healthy. So that's why I would not be jumping into any real estate type companies at the moment on the back of rising interest rates, and of course just a market that might be still a pullback over the next 6 to 12 months.
All right, Wolf, just always like the opinion of Mr. Wolf on these things. And listen, apart from that, Wolf, thank you very much, and thank you everyone for listening to Equity Story, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.